Welcome to Soulful Conversations with Nadjejda. I'm Nadjejda Chapoteau. I am an empowerment and confidence coach, spiritual teacher, and speaker. I love to dance. I'm passionate about social justice, spiritual growth, love, nature, and making a difference. Specifically making a difference in different causes that matter to me. But one of the things that that's very important for me right now is really empowering women entrepreneurs and reconnecting with themselves, embracing their authentic self, and sharing their message boldly with the world through sharing themselves. As a coach, I help purpose-driven women entrepreneurs experience ease, clarity, confidence, and fun in their businesses. And I help them do so by discovering their message and finding their niche. I am so excited about my guest today. She is so amazing. I love her energy. She is Cristin Downs. Cristin is a fierce and funny and sorry and fired up woman. She is a boss, creative, and mama bear with a hell-bent mission to empower women. Described as a gentle, non-stop powerhouse, and this is so true. Powerhouse, you can find her helping women be the boss through her coaching and consulting biz, sharing the inspiring stories of visionary women on her podcast and live show, The Notable Women, empowering up women in her Facebook summit and group Super You, which I'm in, which is really powerful. She's a connection maven and a hype man, and she sets movements on fire. Thank you for joining me today, Cristin.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Sorry my introduction's so wordy. I am a little loquacious.
Don't worry. That's why I was like, you know what, I'm going to need it in front of me.
You could have just made up whatever you wanted. I would have been fine with that.
No. So Cristin, she has a lot of experience. So she has over 40 jobs under her belt. Cristin works a lot of places. And she says she works a lot in a lot of places.
I have.
So, a lot of places of bosses, from installing architectural lighting to managing theater teams of 150 plus leading multi-million-dollar organizations and projects. Cristin's got stories and jokes. I can tell.
I do. I definitely have both.
Jokes and experience for days and days. More than a decade in professional theater defines her work-life approach, which emphasizes collaboration, humanism, professionalism, and
Get-her-doneness, which is
get it done. It's like, let's get it done, right?
Yeah. It's interesting because I work in higher ed right now.
Yeah.
So slow. Everything is so slow. And I work in the fastest moving department you could possibly work at in a university.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so that's like how slow I feel like we're moving. But in the slow moving departments, I'd be a fossil. It takes so long to get anything done there. Whereas in the theater, you set the date of your show before you start rehearsing it, and you start selling tickets for it before you start rehearsing it. And so then you're rehearsing it and you're building it and you're designing it all beforehand. And you have a set date. So you can't be like, I'm not really sure. Like, you are sure that it is going to get done. And so you get it done however you need to get it done. And so that's something that I bring to the table, is that, we're getting it done.
Good. Well, I remember not that long ago we were talking and you said, okay, what's like something we were talking about my clients or what I'm looking for, and you were like, okay, I would like numbers that I could see your life.
Yes.
Totally. So I know, Cristin is really all about, she wants women to know that they're notable and that they matter. So Cristin, tell me, did you always feel this way?
So I would say that yes and no, because okay, so sort of like two parts to this. So first and foremost, I certainly grew up in so I am the middle of three sisters. I have an older sister and a younger sister, a mother who is opinionated, and a father who knew that, he should just be careful and, do whatever. Not that he's not his own, he's very stubborn and opinionated also, but
Yeah.
with three daughters, you're careful about what you do and what you say. And we played sports and we went camping and we did all sorts of things. And I never felt anything about gender. I just was myself. But then I went to an all-women's college, and that wasn't really on purpose. I got a lot of things in the mail, like all American junior, sophomore folks get. And I just went different places and visited different places and applied different places. And I got accepted. I applied and I got accepted and got a scholarship to a school that I had not visited at all, an all-women's college called Cedar Crest. And I went to visit. And I loved it. And I had no intention of going to an all-women's college. I had no opinions on such things. But when I went there, I knew that I was supposed to go there. And I'm not, at that point, definitely not a spiritual person, raised as a Roman Catholic, had never had a moment in my life where I thought, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But that moment I did. And I remember going back to school after visiting, and all my friends were like, oh, I bet your mom really wants you to go to all women's college, huh? And I said, no, she has no opinion. I want to go there. And they were all like, what? And I said, yep. And so I went there, and that is when I really started to understand sexism and misogyny and what feminism was. And before that, I had really no opinion, but I didn't really think that I had been influenced by sexism. And it wasn't until I was in an environment with no men that I realized how much they affected everything that I did. Because I've always been opinionated and a little bit of a smart ass and very talkative. But when I was in high school, I would wait. I would let the boys answer and let them get it wrong and let them get it wrong and let them get it wrong before I was finally impatient and would answer correctly and have it be done. But in my college classes, I realized that was me being a part of the patriarchy, like letting them talk first and letting them have their say and their opinion and blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until they weren't around that I realized that I was letting them influence me. And in college was amazing. I learned to be myself and what I thought. I wore freaking camo pants and Dr. Seuss socks with flip-flops and just rocked that style out. I did not care. And, really just developed me, who I was and what I liked and wanted. And it was an all-women's college, so we're very empowered and it was nice. But then I went to grad school and was sort of astonished to come back out into this rather sexist world. And it certainly wasn't any more sexist. It wasn't like my grad school was more sexist than any other place. But now I was really experiencing it in I would say, a contained way, because colleges and universities do work really hard not to get sued. And they work harder than most. But even there, I noticed it. And then when I got into the real world, real jobs, it was rampant sexism and misogyny. But I still I didn't have too many horrible experiences with it. I certainly would say that probably the worst I found was in job interview type situations where everyone just always assumed you're about to pop out a baby. Like you're just gonna lift up your leg and be on maternity leave, that's the assumption. So that I definitely experienced that form of sexism, but that was really it. But then when when I got real pissed is after I had my son. And so
Okay.
I did, now make the baby that everyone feared. And it was so crazy to me that, our society tells us that you have to breastfeed. But, and by us, our society, I mean like American society.
Yeah.
So you have to breastfeed, but don't do it in public. Don't let me see those, okay? And then also, if you can't do that, you're definitely a failure. But I also don't want to see them. But also, I need you to go back to work pretty much immediately. And you're going to have like no maternity leave. And we're going to make it super hard. I mean, I was lucky. I did have maternity leave, but for 6 weeks. So you're like barely healed and you're back at work. And biology needs you to be around your child. Like your body does what it needs to do because of physical contact. So being away from them for 10 hours a day affects all of the things that your body is meant to do. Mm-hmm. And so the real moment for me when I just like totally lost it. So I at the part of the university that I work at, it's very small. It's an offshoot of a regular university. So I don't have like all the same stuff as the regular university. But I was going to our main campus, and there was a lactation room. And I was so excited. Like in my head, there was going to be like leather couches and like food for us or fridge. Like it was just going to be pimped out. Like total like cigar lounge, but for nursing moms. Like that was in my head what was going to be there. Instead, it was a bathroom that had been converted. There was no heat or AC. It was bathroom stalls that the toilets had been taken out of, and there was college-sized desks. Now, I do not think you've ever pumped or been pregnant, but when you're pregnant and then afterwards, you feel so weird in your body because like as you get more and more pregnant, you're like expanding over time. So it's sort of like kind of gradual and you can kind of get used to it. Now at the end, you're just like, I am a whale of a human and I need this baby out of me right now.
I've heard women say that.
Yeah, like it's totally weird, but you get like,
yeah, they're like, I'm so ready to be done with it.
Yes, but your center of gravity like changes, like you have a little bit of time to like kind of deal with it. But then the baby is gone and you have no time. And it's like, you haven't slept in months. It needs all this stuff from you. You just feel so horribly weird in your body. To ask a woman who just gave birth to sit at a college-sized desk, those little effing desks at the tables, is preposterous for the place they are psychologically. And it is physically impossible with giant cups on your boobs to sit at a college size. It's just not possible. And so I'm in this moment in this little effing room with no heat and no AC. I think at the time it was like the summertime, so it was really hot.
Ooh,
I don't fit at the desk. And I was just like, what man decided this was a good idea? And it made me think of all of these moments in our lives as women where we have to do all of this stupid shit that some man decided that we had to do. Yeah. And it was like, for me, it's been this collection. Like I certainly like am a woman of 3 sisters and I have a strong mother and I went to this all women's college and I, worked as a manager many places and experienced many things. But like if I have to pick like a moment where I was like, okay, I'm done. This is a serious problem that we need to solve. It was in this moment of me having my son and returning to work because I am lucky. I am one of the lucky ones. There are women that have no maternity leave that give their birth on a Saturday and they are back to work lifting boxes on Monday. There are women who lose their jobs because they don't have maternity protections. There are women all over the country that are getting shamed because they have to feed their child. Like can you tell? Like this really upsets me. And so all of these things affect how women think about themselves and how they feel. And so I really, really, really have always loved women and felt that they were important, but it was becoming a mother that I really realized that women are they're just told all these things throughout their lives, that they're not good enough, that there's something wrong with them, and there is nothing wrong with them. They are amazing just as they are. They are notable women, no matter what it is that they bring to the table, but each person brings something really, really unique. And so that's why I answer your question both yes and no, because I think that it was really, really there, but it took a lot of life experiences for me to get to sort of the level of pissed off that I am now.
And that's what made you start, like, really, how long ago did you start that Facebook group that you just, like, that's a great group that you have on there?
I started that in January.
Oh, okay. So, well, I know your son. How old is your son? What was your first step when you were like, okay, I'm so tired of this, like something needs to be done? Like, what was the first thing that you started doing?
I think.
Do you mind sharing with us?
Of course not. I love sharing all things. So I think that my first step, first and foremost, I found being a mom and making enough milk and eating enough food and going to work exhausting. Like, there are some women that are just like, so, like, and obviously, like, more power to them, right? I was not one of them. I was the one with carrots on her sleeve in a big meeting that I was like, bucket, like, whatever. Like, you're all lucky I have pants on, okay? So
lucky I showed up.
yeah, like, I seriously can't care more than I care right now. So that was like the entire first year. Also, my son did not sleep. He was up multiple times. He slept from 7 weeks until 4 months, and then not again until he was like 18, 20 months old. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So, and I know women who still haven't slept, and their kids are like 4 or 5. So, like, I'm totally not complaining, because he did eventually go to sleep. But so for a while, I was just a zombie. There's a period of zombie, but eventually I started to, like, come out of it, and I was working with a woman who I met. I don't remember how I met her. I think somebody introduced us to each other. But she's a coach, and her name is Cristin Downs. And I was sort of like hemming and hawing. Like, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do, like, something. And so she suggested I do a brain dump, which is just, writing down everything, things you love, things you hate, things you know, degrees, books, trips, just kind of like vomiting, which I verbal vomit easily and frequently, as you can tell from this interview so far. So this was, like, really useful for me to, like, write everything down. And what I kept coming back to was, one, women. I'm deeply, deeply passionate about women and women's issues. And if you want to, like, really piss me off, like, just tell me about something bad that's happened to some woman. And I'm like, where is the man that did this, or the woman, whoever, I will cut them. Obviously, I'm also a pacifist, so, like, I cut no one, but, like, I verbally cut them. But also, so I love women, but I also really love shining a light on people that I think are awesome.
Yeah.
So, and that's, like, where the hype man comes in. Because if someone's doing something cool, I'm like, hey, did you guys, hey, you don't mind if I borrow your mic, right? Did you all hear about this? I am so excited about whatever this is. And so I do that with everything. Like, if I hear music that I like, if I read a book that I like, if I buy some sort of handmade soap that I like, I'm like, guys, everybody needs to know about this. And that's just how I want it. And so, and I'm one of those people that people come to when they're like, I want to try a new author, Cristin, like, what do you suggest? Or, I want to, try a new restaurant or whatever. That's, like, just what I do. I'm like a collector. So because of that, and because of this brain dump, I realized that all the times in my life where I've been a really, really big success, it's when I've been able to do those types of things, shining a light, helping women, connecting people. And so, I sort of thought, like, how can I do that? What can I do with that? And then I read Lillian Hellman's autobiography years and years ago, and it's called The Unfinished Woman. And I always liked the book, but didn't like the title, because I thought, we're all in the process of being finished, and we're all unfinished, and that's cool. But like, just the way that it's worded, I always thought that it was derogatory in some ways. And so I thought instead, what about the notable woman? A woman who is just amazing as she is, because I feel like we're always, as women, trying to be something else.
Yes, that's powerful. Yeah, that's very true. That's what we do.
Yeah, skinny.
We try to be something else. Yeah.
Boobs, smaller butt, bigger butt, taller, shorter.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's like the same but opposite depending upon like what your neuroses are. But so like that title came to me, and I'm terrible at naming things. All my son's toys are things like brown bear, black bear, purple owl, white rabbit, like nothing. There's nothing creative about any of the names that I give his toys. So that's why I feel like the notable woman, I was like, I finally have a good name. It came to me from above or something. But so that process, that brain dump made me think about this idea of what I'm good at. And so I had thought for a while that I really like talking, which is so obvious. I'm sorry, this is your show, and I'm just like blah, 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 blah. But
oh my gosh, so
I'm so appreciative that I get to, instead of just talking to myself, which I usually do. But so because I really love talking, and I love talking to people, and I had thought for a while that I should do a podcast. And so I talked to my husband a little bit about it, and now I love him very much, but he can be a little bit of a dick. And so he was sort of like, you do a podcast? Like, kind of dickish, okay? But then I was doing a big presentation for one of the bigwigs at my work, and okay. I can't give a boring presentation. It's not in me. So I was doing a cartoon presentation, and I was doing all the voiceovers for the different cartoons. And then I had my husband watch it for me. And after he watched it, he said, so you did all these voiceovers? And I said, yeah. And he said, you're going to be great on a podcast. And I was like, oh, you're not so much of a dick. But so anyway, I thought that I like podcasts. I like listening to podcasts. I like talking. I think it's a great medium. I like interviewing people. And so that's why I decided to start the Notable Woman podcast. And so that's sort of how it all came into being. Why I was sort of fired up to begin with, but it didn't happen immediately because I had to go through the zombie stage of that first year of babydom and then kind of get that idea going. And then so he's 2 years and 3 months.
Oh, he's adorable.
I think so too. He's so cute. But so I would say it was around the time, like I bought the domain name around his first birthday. So that was just around the time that I was coming out of my total delirium and stupor of first year of motherhood. And then started the podcast just a few months after that.
Good, that's great. So tell me, Cristin, when you decided, like, okay, I'm going to do the podcast, well, your husband at first was like, but then he actually was like, wow, you're going to be great at this. I'm curious, or it could be even if it's not the podcast, but when you chose, okay, you know what, I want to do something meaningful to really empower women. Did you get any type of pushback, whether it be from people around you or even maybe that voice in your head?
I think I got a little bit of pushback from different people. I would say most of the pushback that I got from women was that they didn't think they were notable. So if I was asking like, hey, you're so lovely, this work that you've done with this charity or this thing that you've done in your career is so interesting, I'd like to have you on my show, I would say 99.9% of the time the woman would respond, oh, I'm not notable. And then they would usually say, but my friend Jessica over here, and I'm like, okay, great. I'll talk to Jessica in a minute. But first we'll talk about you, why you're notable, why I want you on the show, and then give me Jessica's information. Okay, so have her on the show. But that was the primary pushback from women, is that they don't think they're notable. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, my husband, the first thought that he said. And then I would think the other pushback I got from people was just like, it's a lot of work. And it is a lot of work.
I know.
But so worthwhile. It really is. And I get such great feedback from the podcast. And so it's really important. But it is a lot of work.
I'm curious, how do you deal with the pushback? When you did get a pushback, how did you deal with it? Like, what made you keep going?
I think I'm pretty stubborn. So
Good.
I don't really like being told I can't do something. If you tell me I can't do it, I'm much more likely to do it. Same thing with my father went after.
There are people like that.
Yes.
I'm going to do it just to prove to you that I can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Which sometimes can be bad because I'm doing something I don't even want to do because you told me I can't do it. I'm like, oh yeah.
That's true, because sometimes you may think you want to do something and then you're like, I'm going to show them. And then you're like, oh, I'm not really enjoying this.
Yeah. So then you have to be like, okay, I have to back off. Like I have to let my stubbornness be, like.
Totally, yeah, I get that.
But that's 90% of it. Because I also I wanted to be a headshot photographer for a while. Like I wanted to learn to take headshots. And my husband, again, he was like, that's really hard. Like you're going to, and I was like, and then I like go off and now he's like, gosh, your headshots are so good. Like, and I take his headshots for him.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, all you have to do is tell me I can't do it. And I'm like, I will crush your soul. Like, it is kind of that sort of wartimey, but I definitely, and when I am told I can't do something, I am 99.9% more likely to do it.
And would you say, do you get any inner critic, like that voice in your head or anything like that?
I definitely do inner critic. It's
like the gremlins.
I have little gremlins. I decided to name my inner critic Betty.
You gave her a name. That's good. Because you were saying you don't give names.
No, and I don't know why she's Betty. But
okay.
I was talking to a coach like 2 weeks ago where she was saying, she was asking me about inner critic stuff. And I was like, let's call her Betty. I think that's a good name for Betty. But I would say that I like doing my podcast. Where my inner critic comes in is in a couple of places. One, it's about going after sort of high-end guests,
mm-hmm.
sense, and then two, in maybe telling people no who are not a good fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So those are two things that I have trouble with. Is that all in all, the notable woman. The whole point is that every woman is notable. So I want to have basically every woman on that talks to me, but sometimes I can't do that. So, reality, just the time in the day and how many episodes that I can put out and all that kind of stuff. And then sometimes you just know that someone doesn't really want to do it because they want to do it for the wrong reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the conversation or about shining a light. It's more about spammy,
mm-hmm.
So, and that's hard because I get why people want to do that, but it's not quite the right platform for it. And you work hard, as I know you do, you as in everyone, but you specifically in creating something for your audience, and that you have to have integrity about what that is for them. And so that can be hard. So definitely Betty comes out when I want to go after someone that I really like, that I'm afraid they're going to say no. And Betty's like, they're going to say no. And then Betty comes out when I should say no to someone, but I have a hard time. Betty's like, they're going to tell everyone that you're a stuck-up bee and you think you're too important to do normal people things or whatever. So that's where my inner critic comes out when it comes to my podcast.
Okay. And what do? You just be like, okay, Betty, thank you for sharing.
Usually Betty and I have to have more conversations than that. Like, I wish I could just be like, Betty, back up. But usually I'm like,
yeah,
maybe they will say no. And oh my God, what will I do if they say no? And so usually I would say most of the time I'm incapable of dealing with these things by myself, and I have to go talk to a biz bestie.
good.
Say, okay, I really want to ask this person, but I'm afraid they're going to say no. And then they're like, Cristin, who cares if they say no? And I'm like, oh, that's good.
You won't know until you ask, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then also if they say no, it might just not be the right time. It might not be because they think you suck or whatever. Or whatever, random story that you're telling yourself about it. And then same thing, like I do often need to have my biz besties tell me to, like, why are you doing that? And they're like, I don't know. Well, if you don't know, you shouldn't do it. Okay, you're right. So sometimes I can handle Betty on my own, but usually I need a little bit of reinforcement.
Totally. That's good. No, I mean, I think we all do. That's why we have each other. That's why we have these besties. That's why we have, partners, is because with somebody else because that person needs to remind us, okay, why are you doing that? Or you can totally do this, I often say that, we, as much as I believe in women being empowered and not allowing people's opinions to make them do something or not do something, but I also know we're human. We want people who are going to support us, support our greatness, who are going to remind us of our greatness when we forget, because we're human. We're bound to forget. Like when you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to, this person is big, it's an influencer. Well, somebody could tell you, hey, you need to ask. Like, it's totally, you're great. Your show is a great show, so totally get that.
You know what else, though, I think, and this happened sort of, so I reached out to someone that I thought would be really cool, who's like, above me, to be on my show. I said yes. But in the responses in my questionnaire, they were kind of like a little bit B-wordy about how they responded. Like, it's too soon for me to tell you what I'm going to talk about and stuff like that. A little diva-y. And then that person, they canceled the interview. They just said, it wasn't fitting for them right now. And I know they did that because they don't think it's worth, or pardon me, I believe they did that because they don't think it's worth their time right now. And that is fine. You get to decide what you're going to do for your business, PR-wise, hype-wise, what connections you're going to make. And I don't, I think it's good that she canceled because she didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I was actually more hurt by the responses to her questions than I was when she canceled. So when she canceled, I was like, thank God.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't know if I want to bring this person over in the show.
Yeah, and it would have been weird, right? And so then this week, one of my good biz friends who has a show booked a really big influencer. And she was really excited about it. And then she did the interview and it sucked. And the person clearly did not want to be there.
Oh, wow.
And my friend was just, my friend had rushed home and done so much prep work and has her own shit going on. And I thought, sort of two things with that, which is one, we need to be careful about the people that we let in on our own stuff, because just because they're an influencer or they're important or whatever, it doesn't mean that they're a good person, and it doesn't mean they're a good person for you.
Yeah, that is very true.
They might be amazing, but just in this moment, they're not. And then also, you know, I've certainly had moments, like I know you and I talked about this when I interviewed for you for my show, that I was exhausted and I was like, oh, so tired, but I really wanted to do it. And so I like put some more makeup on, and like having a great conversation with you was so worth it. And it was amazing and it was fabulous. But if I know, like, if I had a horrible day or something really terrible happen, and it has happened where I've canceled interviews because I know it's going to be terrible. Like there's no saving it. Like it's just going to be not so good. So I think that it's important for us to think about all of these sort of things, which is, who are you letting into your space? Should you be letting them in your space? Are you only having them because you think they're important, you know, or because you really do want to talk to them or work with them or collaborate with them or whatever it is? You know, because in this case, with this woman that I asked to be on my show, I had no real relationship with her. I just thought she's cool. People like her. She's bigger and better than me. So let's have her on, you know. That is not worthwhile or useful. And recognizing that, I think, is important.
Totally. No. It is so important because it's true. You know, the person might be a bigger influencer than we are or whatever, but they're not a match to us. They're not a match to our message. They're not a match to what we're about, our audience. So in some way, it's like a waste of time having to interview them. Mm-hmm. So totally get that. Yeah. So tell me, what do you believe in life purpose? Do you have one? What do you think is yours if you do?
See, I think this is an interesting question, and
I know it's several folds.
Yeah. I mean, it is. But so I do think we all have a purpose, but I think that we can realize that purpose in different ways.
Yes, definitely.
You know, like so for example, I just took the StrengthsFinders test this year.
Okay.
And it came back that my number one strength was communication.
Okay.
If you tell
I wish I had my book. Anyway, you and I could talk about that another time because I have mine written down. I know I'm developer, activator, connector. I'm sure you have connector.
I do. And I'm an activator too.
Yeah, I don't remember which one was the top one, but either way, yeah, go ahead. I'm not gonna run to go get my book.
I have my little
here, but I don't have it.
These are mine. I'm a communication activator, connectedness, includer, positivity. Can you see?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of StrengthsFinder. But when I first got it done, I looked at the 34 strengths and I was like, oh, I'm so leadery, so I'm going to have all of these strategic and executing strengths because I'm a boss. That's what I thought. And then I got all of these influencing and relationship building strengths.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And I told my husband, I said, guess what my number one strength is? He didn't know anything about StrengthsFinder, literally zero. And he said, oh, it's communication, right? And I was like, what? How do you know what my number one strength is? And I don't. But I always say, because our lives are like this, all up in our own faces, and we can't see them.
I know, right? I think we talked about that when you interviewed me last week.
Yes. So I think that I am meant to communicate ideas and connect people together and make community and incite collaboration. Like, these are the things that make me me. But how I live that purpose has changed over time. Mm-hmm. It can happen in a lot of different ways. So I do think that everyone has a life purpose, but I think that it's how we embrace that changes based on us and our season of life and what we're presented with. And but now that I know what I am good at, I get to do it more often because I embrace it. Instead of before, maybe I would have thought, oh, I'm not the person to talk at this event or give this speech. But now I know, oh no, I am. I am the best damn person to do this. And I'm going to do it. So
And you're gonna rock it.
yes, I'm gonna rock it. Now, did I answer that whole question? Because I don't.
Yes, you did. Totally, you did. You did. Now, let me ask you, what do you stand for in life?
What do I stand for in life? I stand for each and every person living their authentic truth.
Now, you know I love that.
I do.
You know that. No, definitely. So for you, why would you say so? Why do you stand for that?
I think that when we get messed up, so I think we get messed up in our lives. What are you laughing at me for?
It's the way you know. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because it's when you say we get messed up. When we get messed up.
So I think as we get messed up in our lives. Things
It's true.
happen to us. Families are messed up, and individuals respond to the circumstances around them in different ways. You
Totally.
survive essentially, and you get a little lost from yourself and what you actually think and what you actually believe. And that hopefully as time goes on and you get older, you can start to strip away all that extra stuff that isn't really you, and you get back to your own true self. And I think that for women in particular, you know, we have all these thoughts about how much we should weigh. Whether we look right at that weight or not, oh, that doesn't matter.
Yes, it's true.
You know, because I look at pictures of myself when I was younger, and I'm like, Cristin, you look like a freaking hobbit, man. You needed like 20 pounds on that frame of yours. Like, I looked preposterous, but I definitely didn't think that I was attractive. Now, in my like post-mom body, I'm like, oh, I don't care. Like, I'm sexy, you know, these boobs are great. You know, when I was younger, I was like, oh, please don't look at my boobs. Please, no. And now I'm like, yeah, these are fab. So it's all about like owning and recognizing your own self and forgetting about whatever the other thing is. Like, you were told that a woman should weigh 115 pounds, and so that's what you think it needs to be. Or you were told that a woman needs to listen to her husband. Or you were told that you shouldn't work outside the home. Or you were told that it was bad if your kids were in daycare. Or you were told that, you know, you should only apply for a job if you can do all of the tasks. Or you were told that you shouldn't ask for a raise because you'll just magically get one when it's magically time, you know. So all of these things. And then, you know, I was just recently working with a woman that I'm coaching, and she feels like her staff that she works with don't respect her. And I said, you know, why do you think that is? And she felt like she was mothering them. And I was like, you're not a mothering person. You know, like that's not you. You're not a nurturer or anything like that. So like, why do you feel like you're acting this way? And I said, do you think that maybe you're actually a ball buster who feels like you can't be a ball buster because you're a woman? You know, so you feel like you have to be nurturing, but you're not nurturing, so it comes off as patronizing. You know, and so we like really like played around with that idea and explored it a little bit. And I said, like, why don't you actually just like try doing what you, and this is very, very hard because she's been telling herself for years that this is the way that she has to be. But, you know, we're exploring like, how could she not do that? How can she strip away the way she thinks she's supposed to be and just do the thing that she wants to do? And that gets so hard because you no longer know what you want to do because you spent so much time not doing it. Yeah.
Totally. No, you know what? As you were saying that, it's so true because just the other day I was sharing that with somebody, how when you're not being true to yourself, when you're doing something that isn't really natural for you, it's not really you, it's like it's off, you feel off, and also people get that something's off.
Yep.
So that's what I'm hearing you say with that woman, you know, so totally get it. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So tell me, what do you believe the world needs more of?
Gosh, I feel like the world needs more women at the table, so that if, you know, everywhere you look, businesses, governments, nonprofits, politics, whatever, there are just not enough women. There are too many men. And if you had more women at the table in every scenario, you would have a more balanced look at actual world. And so I think that the more women we can get to the table in every capacity, women as politicians, women as leaders, women as CEOs, women running businesses, the world will just be so much better.
Totally. No, I agree with you. Totally. Thank you. So this concludes the interview part, Cristin. Thank you so much. Now I want you to tell my audience about you in terms of, you know, whatever you want to add about yourself, your work. What do you do? I know you know, I'm gonna be posting under this video. There will be the links where they can connect with you. I know you have a free gift for them, so all of that will be there, so you don't have to spell it out. You can talk about them, but you have to feel the need to spell it out. And if you're listening to us through iTunes, well, Apple Podcasts, now I always forget it, you can visit my website, www.lovelikecoaching.com, and you'll get all the information about where you can connect with Cristin. So, Cristin, go ahead and tell us more about you and your work.
I would say that you can go and listen to my podcast, or you know, pretty much the home for everything for me is at thenotablewoman.com, and you can listen to the podcast. I have a live show which we talked about. Facebook.com/thenotablewoman. That's where those episodes are, but you can also link to them from my website. I do some interviews with women in article form, some great content on thenotablewoman.com for that. I also talk a lot about my own path to becoming more of myself and how I do that. And it's been, I feel like, I don't want to say it's been particularly hard, but it is difficult because I'm sort of a phoenix as a person. I burn bright and die. And obviously as a mom, you can't do that. You can't just be like, kid, I just need a break. You know, he's like, Mom, I need some milk and little Einsteins right now. So I really had to learn how to conserve my energy, and so I talk a lot about that on the Notable Woman as well. And then the thing that I'm most excited about right now is I have been shining a light on women and the awesome things that they're doing, but I'm only one person, and I think that people can do a lot more to learn about it themselves. And so I'm working on a program called Hype Yourself, which is all about me teaching the techniques that I use to get myself out there and to make these connections and collaborations and helping other women too for the movements that they're working on. And that is a part of my whole evil plan of more women at the table throughout the world. So it all supports it. And the free gift that I have for your fabulous audience is called Plan Your Hype Workbook. If you go to thenotablewoman.com/hype workbook. And this is a whole workbook on the strategy that I teach, because I think too often when you talk to people about building buzz for your business or doing any sort of PR, you hear pretty much universal strategies. Get some media mentions on Forbes and Entrepreneur, some podcast interviews or whatever. And that doesn't necessarily work for everyone. If you're a brilliant writer, then perhaps you should be writing, not getting media mentions. And maybe you are total poopycock on podcasts and you shouldn't be doing them. Maybe you're so dynamite on video that you should be doing video instead. And so I feel like there are no cookie cutter approaches to what is the best possible way for you to get out there. And that also sometimes people don't see the thing that's in front of them, the way that they can connect or be heard or seen or whatever. And so I work through some of those strategies with folks about how they can do that. And all of it is in the workbook. If you go through the workbook, it'll talk through about, help you think about what your own things that you love are. What do you think you should be doing, but does that really match with what you actually are good at? And then talking through ways to find podcasts in your niche, if that's what you want to do. And I'm pretty excited about it. I'm a big fan of workbooks. I really like thinking through things, particularly on paper. So I hope that other people enjoy that as well.
That's great. Sounds really interesting. So I love it. I'm curious. Like actually, I think I'm gonna check it out myself. I've been saying I need to check it out.
Awesome.
So yeah, no, definitely sounds really interesting because it's very true. When you said about the whole cookie cutter thing, I truly believe that myself. I don't believe that, and I think I did a post today on that on Facebook actually earlier, is where, we're being told when we start a business, go ahead and talk to people who have a business, start following them. Not saying that that's all bad, but one of the things that really I find that, at least for me, when I started my business, they didn't really emphasize about really me knowing who am I, what matters to me, what do I stand for, because I think that's when we really shine the brightest, and that's when we really enjoy what we're doing, because sometimes we're doing something because, we were told that's what we have to do. And then you're not enjoying the process, and then you're also not getting good results because it doesn't feel good to you, you know? So thank you. So go check out Cristin's podcast, her Notable Women Live, her website, take advantage of her free gift. Go see, check out her Facebook group, Super You, which I think is really awesome. I mean, she puts together these summits, and, people are just there. So she's really great at connecting people and really like shining a light on her fellow women entrepreneurs. I really love that about her. So thank you all for joining us, and thank you again, Cristin. If you really enjoyed this and you don't want to miss any other episodes, go ahead, under the video, you'll see the box where you can join my email list and, subscribe to my email list. Put your name, your email address. Every Thursday when a new episode is available, I'll be sharing it in your inbox. You'll also be getting other goodies from me. Every week, you'll get my free gift, which is my 7 questions to help you reconnect with yourself and have an aligned message in your business. If you're listening to us through Apple Podcasts, leave us a review, subscribe to Soulful Conversations with Nadjejda, and also visit our website and, let us know, give us some feedback. So thanks again. Love and light to you all. Cristin, thank you again.
Thank you, lady. I love you. Thanks for having me.
Love you too. Take care.